Welcome back to BizRise, where builders think like millionaires even before their money shows up. So, one of the things that this is going to be one of my favorite topics, and I'll probably be a broken record throughout the next few years that we're going to be up. And this has to do with there's a whole book about this. Entrepreneurs that I've known, businessmen that I've known, were advocating this way before this book came out. But if you've ever heard of James Clear, the author, and his book Atomic Habits, and no, I'm not selling it. I don't have a link for that or anything like that, but I am highly suggesting to pick it up, give it a rouse, and it's going to explain exactly what this episode is going to be all about. So, without further ado, okay, every time you want to set your mind on something that's an improvement, a lot of people just want to just go all out and just have as fast or of a result as possible. They want to go from 400 pounds, 5'5", and overweight to 150 pounds just muscle, and there are no shortcuts. There's not even a shortcut if you get lipo. You still have to do some exercise and everything else. But just changing one habit and be consistent with it every single day makes all the change in the world. And that's what we're going to be talking about, in this episode today. Now, for me, I advocate in my coaching program about a daily action strategy. And believe it or not, I came across this when I was a mortgage broker when I was 20 years old. This is a long time ago. I am 42 years old right now. And it was basically a set of tasks that we did every day. You go and call down 10 people. You prospect 10 people. And we didn't have social media back then. And you outline, I think it was some 5 events. I forgot exactly what it was. This is a long time ago. But fast forward to the future, when I started this business about 4.5 years ago, I was a little bit lost. Let me take that back. I was very lost. I didn't own a business. I worked for commission, but if you want to call that as a self-employed or whatnot, even when I was a mortgage broker, I still worked for a corresponding lender, but it took everything that I had to get focused and figure out that it only took these small remedial tasks, and before I knew it, I was able to shorten it down to, 15 minutes a day. I say in a coaching program, 30 to 60 minutes, just because when you first start out, you're not exactly sure what you're doing, but just like any time that you do something repetitious, you start getting faster. It starts becoming second nature. So I'll just give an example. If you want to download it, go to patreon.com/BizRise, and you can sign up for the program if you want. It's $9.95 a month. It doesn't cost much, and the daily action strategy is there. That's how you grow a home service business. Anyways, moving forward, the daily action strategy is basically 3 to 4 steps. That's it. Every day. We literally grew from $1,100 a month to $12,000 a month within 3.5 months. Once I pretty much got that down. And the thing was, I was broke. I mean, I had a heart attack that made me have to shut down, and I maxed out all my credit cards. My beautiful credit score was just, it was hell to come back. And by the time I figured that out, I was like, let me just do this one thing every day. Every day. I went into social media. Did the same thing every day, every single day. And before I knew it, I just, we had more clients, and then we had, cleaners we had, business was just, blowing up fast. I had a full-blown team, and then I had to go get an admin, and, it was just, the growing pains started happening. But what was great was that it was a consistent, it wasn't really explosive. It wasn't like what Tony Robbins talks about, sudden massive action. The sudden massive action was the fact that I took the leap, from W-2 to, business ownership, and just kind of went all in. I didn't do let me do a side hustle. No, I did what George Washington did and just burn the boats. We're here to fight. There's no going back. We got this. But in any case, that's what it took, and that's what I did. Anyways, the same thing is whenever you get a coach and you want to lose weight, you want to work out. Even if you just did one exercise every day, they have a 3-10-30. I think there's some other variations where you walk 3 miles an hour at a 10-degree incline for 30 minutes. And believe me, it's harder. If you don't do it now, it's harder than you think. But as you do it every single day, it's geez, exercises become easier. You'll take flights of steps like it's nothing. It's ridiculous. But in any case, do 10. Start the day with 10 push-ups. So on and so forth. And before you know it, you just start getting defined muscles. You start losing the weight. You start becoming more and more motivated. It just becomes a snowball, and you just keep doing these small things every single day. So, but in any case, these habits are important, and we're not going to go too far into this, but this also has to do with the people that you're around, winners that you have to surround yourself with, because they're going to talk about this. It's like, hey man, what's your morning routine? I mean, everyone's curious about the CEO's morning routines. There's entire articles, just pages long even, that talk about a certain CEO's morning routine. He gets up, he takes an ice bath, he meditates. A lot of it can be overwhelming. And before you know it, your morning routine is basically until noon. It's kind of hilarious, and I just, so don't get too obsessive. Simplicity is key. And for me, the simpler I got my daily action strategy, the better things got. And just believe me, it works. As I mentioned, it took, after a bit of time, it only took like 15 minutes a day. I actually ended up trying this years later because admittedly, I stopped after a while. We started basically having a snowball effect. We were getting referrals, and we were just getting more traction than we could really even keep up with. And but in any case, I think it was like 2 years later, I was like, let me try this for 1 week, just one. I'm just gonna do the same thing. Think of a value post, not scamming. Oh, excuse me, not spamming, not overflowing all these areas with, just hey, I have a cleaning business or I have a lawn business or whatever, just value, and what was it, 40? It was a little over 4,000. I don't have the exact number, but it was a little over $4,000 worth of cleans and 2 Airbnbs that we picked up just from 1 week of doing it again. It was a lucky week. I'm not going to say that you're going to get $4,000 of new business every single week. That does not happen. It just happened to be there. It's like, man, I tried it again, and lo and behold, it worked. I would have been happy if we got $500 more in one Airbnb. I mean, that just the fact that it works and you just keep going. So when it comes to other businesses such as wholesaling real estate, there's an action strategy that you can take to that for you wholesalers out there, for you realtors out there. If you do a set of tasks, that's maybe like 5 to 6 things that only takes 30 to 60 minutes every single day, maybe 6 days a week. Take a Sabbath if you believe in that, But I do believe in breaks. But it's like you're gonna be getting somewhere. They say that if you improve 1% a day, we're not gonna do the whole math on it, but the whole hypothetical simple thing. So you improve 1% a day, you'll be reaching 100% better than you were before. Anyways, but I have a very strong belief in that. And I will be happy. If you want me to bring some examples, put it in the comments below. Shoot me a message. It's like, hey, I want to know somebody else that does that. Maybe if I could find, I don't know, something that somebody might want. A lawn maintenance guy that might have done the same thing. By the way, lawn maintenance company also that I own. And it only took a very short time of doing a daily action strategy to get that up, and get overwhelmed. I mean, we had to end up buying more machines than, whew. Anyways, but back to the point though. If you want me to bring in somebody that's in real estate or mortgage, by all means, just drop it below. I have a wide network, of just awesome, amazing people, But if you're in the home service industry and you want to see what I'm talking about, it is a download. Again, it's only $9.95 a month. It's patreon.com/BizRise. Check it out below. But before we go, I do want to give a word from one of our sponsors. The first sponsor that we're going to feature today is Convert Labs. If you have a home service business, this is the premium software to get. It's better than, believe me, I've tried all of them. I've tried Booking Koala, I've tried Jobber, I've tried House Call Pros, formerly launched 27, I think it's Automaids right now. I've tried them all, and nobody is better than having Convert Labs. You can have your own website built in from the platform. Starting at $60 a month too. That's about as cheap as it's gonna get for what it packs. You can run an email campaign. You can have a form on your own website where customers can go in 24/7 and book their own cleans right there. I mean, the list goes on. Right now, if you're doing Airbnbs, it'll sync their calendars. I mean, in the beginning, before Convert Labs even came out, we had to use 3 or 4 different softwares just to do everything that this one does, and I was paying multiple subscriptions. Convert Labs is what you want to use. Now, if you want a 30-day free trial, convertlabs.io/Chris, CHRIS, lowercase CHRIS. It's an exclusive free trial. Like I said, you get 30 days exclusive to BizRise. All right, so back to our show, Atomic Habits. If you read the book, you're not going to regret it. I mean, seriously, I'm not going to call it life-changing unless you really decide to adopt it and you're in a position where you've never had to do this before. If you're used to, going to work every morning or every day. I know some people work second shift, third shift, but that's actually one reason why even manufacturing companies have you do like one consistent thing, because the better that you are at it, the more efficient you are at it. So, but in any case, I'm not going to go too much further. We're going to be, I'm trying to keep our show, around, 12 to 15 minutes. But as we move along, like I said, if you want a guest that's in a particular field, let me know. I'll reach out in my network, or chances are I'm probably going to know them already, just, and we'll talk about it. Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thanks for stopping in. This is BizRise, and I will see you next time.